Welcome to part 3, facelifting this Freelander 2 2009 model. Today I am swapping the ugly mug on the front of this thing
into the gorgeousness that is this thing.
So to achieve that, I have got to take this hunk of junk apart. So to get the bumper off, first things first, we've got to start taking everything apart. Now I've done this side because you needn't see both sides being done, but principally you've got to take a few fitments off under the wheel arch and whatever. I will show you on the other side. This one though I took off first. It basically fell apart anyway because some of the fixings were broken and have been held together. Here we go with self-tapping screws and the like. So let me start you over here. First job is removal of the headlight. First up, these two 10mm nuts. Really straightforward. Now the unit itself then just breaks free. Now inside here is normally a little bar that pops up and all you need to do is push it down. However, in mine, it's already broken. So this should now slide forward. Inside we've got the electrics in here, which have got a little clip on them. You merely squeeze that number in there and pull it off. Hey presto. Right, next up, there is a 10mm bolt through there, which you should just about be able to get to using a long ratchet. It's one of those ones you just got to be a bit careful not to drop it down in, but there we go. So with the headlight out of the way, we've got to unbolt the bumper from the rest of the chassis here inside the wheel arch. Now we need to get inside the wheel arch liner using Torx bolt here on this first nut, or bolt rather. And then inside, what I'm going to do is just unscrew this little one here. There's a little nylon nut that just holds the inside of that wheel arch liner there before we can then start peeling this away. There's also one more which is just hidden down behind here. You can just about see it on the camera in there. So I'm just going to take that one off camera just because it's a little bit awkward to get the camera in there. So in removing this, you'll basically give yourself access to the bolt and the captive nut that are just at the top there. Now it's an absolute pain to get to, I've got to tell you. There's nothing easy about this one whatsoever, but you'll notice I've just turned the wheel slightly. I mean, ideally I'd stick it up on axle stands and take it off, but should, I hope, be able to just slot the extension bar in over the top of the nut that is there, and then pop the ratchet underneath it. In theory, anyway. Hang on a minute, it's an absolute pig to get to this one, thankfully. Oh, that's got it, right. It is the hardest one to get to, but a bit of perseverance as always. And we're off. Sorry, camera angle's utterly impossible in here. Take the ratchet out entirely, there we go. Oh, it's come out and it's dropped somewhere. That's what we were after. And in theory, that's it, that's just pulled that away. And that's the front of the bumper, or rather the side of the bumper here, nice and loose. Right, last off, in holding it up. Now there are 4 10mm bolts on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've left one of them in because I just want to hold it all in place for the moment. We'll get my tools out of the way. So now I'm hoping both sides are done. It should be a case of this last of the 4 bolts at the top, and with some level of hope, more than expectation, the entire bumper should release itself, but it feels like there's something still got it at the bottom. So let me pop this back up. put that back up and see what we've got underneath. Let's have a little look. Right, it feels like there's something under there holding it. So let's see if I can get that toe cover off, see what's behind there. Right, let's take this little fella off here, see what it's hiding. Assuming that is a... There we go. On the other side. Haha, we have 2 more 10mm bolts under there. Right. Number 1. There we go. Those 2 should, I'm hoping, be the last bits to come out. Right, so let's try again, shall we? See whether that was enough to encourage it on its way. It was. Right, so now that's down on the ground, there's a couple of things to point out. First and foremost off, let's try and get this harness out here. Okay, so that's going to need pushing in and out, which would be great if it hadn't been on there for 12 years. Bloody hell, okay. Oh, Christ, I mean, it's just caked in mud. That was unnecessarily difficult, but that's fine. Let's get that out. The parking sensors themselves, now, they should just be able... There we go. Right, they pull through. Do they work? Yes, they do. But they should just pull out of the clasps there. Right, let's unclip the harness for the fog lamp. There we go. That's easier. Let's set them done. Right, okie onto the other side. What else have we got? Let's take out tubing for the washers. That is pretty straightforward. Right, again, I'm going to need both hands for these. Let's get these out. These should just lift out in theory. Not worried about that. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. That is the old bumper done away with. Now I need to, as I say, take out those spotlights. Otherwise, that's it in its naked form. These spotlights now then, these I've got new surrounds. If you notice, the new ones are square on the later facelift ones. The spotlight lamps themselves are interchangeable, but essentially what it does mean is that these, I can make these sacrificial. I don't need to worry about treating them with too much care, so I'm just going to attack them really to get it out. Certainly wouldn't be doing this if I had any care at all about the paintwork. Pretty straightforward. Much the same with the other side. I'd be using a bodywork spanner or something similar if I cared. There we go. So once you're into there, you've simply held in place with these 4 Torx screws, which will be a breeze, I hope, to take out. So with those 4 done, here we go. Pretty straightforward. On to the other side. Right, so those are both out and looking like that. Let us now think about these washer jets. How on earth do they come out? Now they seem to be held in with some sort of clasp here, which I wonder if I can just lift that up. What's frustrating is I don't really want to have to put these on until that is painted, but the guy wants it on the vehicle to paint it so that he can colour match it better. So I will have to put these on and just mask them up, but we'll see how we get on anyway. These should, as I say, I'm hoping, merely pull up. Right, let's have a little look. Nope. Aha, there we go. Perfect. Goody goody. Same the other side. Right, first in I'm going to put the new spotlights in, which weirdly only have 3, which seem to, anyway, only have 3 places for screws. So we'll see how we get on with that. Now these appear to be self-tappers actually, and they're going into just plastic sort of captive nuts. I don't want to over-tighten them, otherwise I'm just going to end up shredding the bloody things. Now I'm assuming there's only one way in, you know, that way or that way, I don't really know, but I'm putting it with the writing of the bulb in the right way up, which we'll find out I suppose when I try and put the surrounds on later, shall we? Right, that's on there, goody good. Right, other side. So I need to start thinking about getting this loom in place. Let me just get it roughly set where I think it needs to go. That is that side over there, and this is the side that's got the various items. So let's start, shall we, just by merely putting these back in place. That sounds like a logical position to start, doesn't it? Let's roughly rest them in place. That can go all the way in. This one here, that locked. Next one, locked in place, and the final one here is a little more awkward, evidently. There we go. Goody good. So next up is just finding places to clip this all the way along. Now then, there seems to be, where does that go? Does that go there? Start from the back end, shall we? So the first of those is that one there. Now, are they going to stay in place? Actually, do you know what? They might. They might. Oh, they are going to stay. Good. That's it. So they should. I'm hoping. That one's not going to work. That one will. That one will. That one will. Ah, right, this is going beautifully. Not only can I reuse them, but whoever designed this is a genius. They're in exactly the same places as the old ones. Apart from that one up there. Okay. Seems to be one too many. Let's clip this one onto there. That connects up over there. Right, let's protect all of the corners. And let's be brave, shall we, and try and fit this thing single-handedly. Brave or daft, possibly, I don't know. Let's see how we get on. Right, I'm going to stick the wide angle up and just watch me laugh for a bit. Right, let me just show you a problem that I've just found. Putting back in the tubes for the window washers, pretty straightforward. However, there are no holes and clips for this to be fitted in place. I really don't want it just loose for obvious reasons, so quite what others have done, I don't know. Oh, I beg your pardon, they're down here. Here they go. That's it. I take it back. Mr. Engineer, design man, whoever did it. They're exactly where the other ones were. I just wasn't looking. There we go. So that's sufficient, and then this other one just rests in place once it's up there. So, yeah, let's have a go. Right, first up, I'm going to just slot it in the top here, which is easier said than done, perhaps. Hang on. Because show you a weird little problem we've got here, guys. Right, look at that. There's a plastic tongue here which meets this bulkhead. Now it's got to slide back. It can't go up and it can't go down because this is nice and flush with these holes here. So that, I reckon, is going to need trimming off. Everything else, the height is correct. That piece goes on there. Yeah, we'll see what we can do on that. I've got a feeling that's going to need trimming Right, I've also just realised that there are some fittings on the inside of the wing here, these black plastic fittings that need to come off. However, the impact damage from the wall meant that I haven't got that side. Right, so herein lies the problem. Herein lies the problem. This piece here, in some form or another, there we go, used to look like that. I think what I'm going to try and do is fit it regardless, because ultimately I have to get this back on this afternoon. I shall order one and undo all the good work I've done. So that used to fit that way like that, which means that one needs to go on there. Yeah, we'll see how we get on. There's nothing I can do about it this afternoon, short of driving to Coventry and meeting up with Mr. Land Rover. That would have gone on there, like so. I mean, that's not going to hold anything on at all in the body, but... So I've come up with a... I'm going to say solution, but I use the word with some trepidation, because it isn't a solution really. It is merely 3 zip ties, which so far are holding it exactly where it needs to be, and they are pulled right tight. So we'll see how that comes, we'll see how that gets on, and if I have to take the whole bumper off again to get it all back on there, then so be it, we'll see. And that little lip we were talking about, I have merely pincered it off with a pair of side cutters. It's quite soft plastic anyway, so hoping I haven't done irreparable damage. Let's see how we get on. Let's try and get this back up again. Right, second time lucky maybe. Let's see how we get on. This needs to come up this high. That's sort of working in the right-ish space, but what is stopping that? Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Rightly or wrongly, I'm just going to hang it in place. Right, okay, so that's hung in place. Ish. And the sides appear at first glance, let's show you, hang on, appear at first glance to be in roughly the right sort of spaces. That's weird, I've got to tell you. I don't know, that in my head should be resting on there, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how that gets on in a second. What I am going to try and do, though, very briefly, is put these spotlights, the headlights, just roughly rest it in place and see whether it is of any logical appearance. Let's have a look. Yeah, do you know? Appears to be about right. Panel gaps are okay, front side, etc, etc. Good, okay. That gives me the confidence to try and get it all in there properly. So we'll see how we get on. Alright, let's try this fella in here. Okay, so that's in. Panel gap is okay. I'll go around the other side and do the same. So I've succeeded in getting this one in. Now I have bolted it through. I've also zip tied it in there, which is again a bit awkward, but never mind. And I've managed to get this side all bolted back inside. It is a pain in the backside, I've got to tell you. I've got about 25 minutes to get this side in, headlights in, and to test it and just to make sure it's not going to fall off when I'm driving. But this getting in here is an absolute pain in the arse. You've got to obviously get that bolt back up inside, but it's nigh on impossible to hold it in place. I'm going to have to do it off camera, but essentially you've got to get your left hand up inside there with the to hold the nut in place, to hold the bolt in place anyway, to try and get it in through this captive nut, and at the same time pushing the bumper in. Anyway, it's awkward. I'll do a bit of screaming off camera right now and some swearing, and I'll be back with you in a sec. Well, that was a fucking pain in the arse, that was. But what I've ended up doing actually was sticking a nut and a, you can just about see down in there. Look. Let's get some light on it, shall we? Hang on. I don't know whether you can see in the bottom there. Anyway, there's a lock nut and a washer, which was 1,000 times easier because you can push the bolt up through the hole. It holds it roughly in place. Sort of down there, if you can just about see. Anyway, it holds it in place. Sorry, you probably can't see a lot under there. But... Goody. Right, should be able to get this towing eye cover back in place because these should be, I believe, interchangeable. There we go. Let's spin this 90 degrees. That's in. And the other one. Goody goody. Right, so that is in. What have I not done? Let's have a little look. Those four are tightened up. I've just done those off camera. The sides are in. The bottoms are in. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Right, I think we are just about needing... What have I missed? The screws at the bottom. I have missed screws at the bottom. What have we got left in here? Oh, crikey, the shield, the mud shield from inside here. Right, let me get that on again. I'll do that off camera because it's an absolute pain in the ass to get in there. Well, after an absolute mammoth faff, it's actually in, and I'm delighted with it. Obviously, it needs painting up, and the guy will be there tomorrow to do that. But actually, it fitted beautifully. Full credit to the guys who've designed it because it is an aftermarket unit. Let's just pop that down briefly. It's going to look really smart. So the moment of truth, here we go. This is the finish coat going on here by Chips Away on the driveway. So we have got what appears to be an absolute mirror perfect finish on the bumper here. And I'm just thoroughly impressed with the way it's been done. This is half the cost of getting it done in the spray booth at the workshop at Land Rover. And they've managed to colour match it perfectly as well. So what they do is they take a reading from one of the good panels, which he's done on the other side, and then in the back of the van here, they'll mix up, in fact, these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bottles behind the scales there are the mix that have made up the Ipanema Sand Land Rover colour in here. So it's coming along nicely. It's under the UV light at the moment. You can just see there, that's the lacquer. It needs to go for another hour or so yet. But yeah, I'll update you once it's all been done and all the masking's away. So with the paint off, it was a simple case of putting everything back together again. First on with the side vent and indicator here, because I'd had the wing painted up as well following the fairly poor DIY job I did on that. And then first the near side front headlight goes in, then up the driver's side. Then with the spotlight covers, simply a case of popping them in, nothing complicated there. Now the final finishing touch here, the badge. I ordered a new one because it doesn't come with one. It's a slightly different size from the old pre-facelift size as well, so you can't reuse the old one. And with that on there, the job's a good one. And I must say, just standing back now with the number plate on there as well, I am absolutely over the moon with the colour. It's mirror perfect. Its finish is just superb. For something done on the driveway, really take my hat off to the guy who did it. Totally brilliant service. So yeah, looking pretty smart. Let's remind ourselves quickly of what it looks like.